So we are coming to you live from the worldwide headquarters of Network in Action. When I say live, I mean live, because not only do we have Luisa Deason here, but we have my salmon shirt today. This is not pink. Handsome. Thank you very much. So Luisa is with Deason's Consulting Services, and I wouldn't say it's a topic near and dear to our heart, but it's one that some point in time almost every American has to deal with, don't they?
Absolutely.
So Deason's Credit Consulting Service. Tell us a little bit about how you got started, how long you've been in the business.
I've been in the business about 16 months now. I own my own franchise. And one of the things that happened is that I was discovering along the way that a lot of people that were credit challenged were not advancing. And I've learned a lot. I had a couple of credit issues myself. I was introduced to the program.
Haven't we all? Full disclosure.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I tell people today is, you don't get up in the morning and decide, what I'm going to do? I'm going to ruin my own credit. You don't do that.
It's a process.
So sometimes what happens is either somebody starts, it starts with a divorce, or somebody gets sick in someone's family.
Starts with a marriage, and maybe she starts spending too much money.
That can happen too. And then, of course, maybe somebody loses a job. And so, all those things combined can really wreak havoc on someone's credit. And what people don't realize, specifically people that come in from foreign countries where there isn't an established type of credit system, is that credit in this country is vital. It's like a vital sign.
Yeah.
It really... It affects everything you do, whether it's buying a home, whether it's renting an apartment, whether it's trying to get good premiums on your home and auto, life, or health insurance, credit card rates, anything that is involving any kind of a transaction where you have to finance something is greatly affected by bad credit.
I mean, really, if you think about it in terms of everybody comes to America to want to build wealth, It starts with great credit. I mean, you can't really be building wealth if you got horrible credit. It doesn't make much sense because the cost of money is so expensive, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So what's the difference between credit restoration and credit repair?
So credit repair in my book is just kind of putting a Band-Aid over a bad situation. And I'm not saying everybody out in this industry is out to get somebody, but I think that there's a lot of irreputable businesses that open up and they'll target certain markets. And so what happens is they're not legally maybe awarded the ability to dispute all three credit bureaus simultaneously with everything that must come off. Whereas we have attorneys that are out of a nonprofit organization. So it's not about making money. It's about really truly helping that individual. And so what we do is we have the legal authority to dispute all three credit bureaus simultaneously with everything that we must dispute, such as bankruptcies, repossessions, foreclosures, all kinds of collections. So there's certain laws that protect the individual from having certain erroneous information on their credit reports. And believe it or not, a lot of people believe that the credit bureaus are governed by the government.
Yeah.
They're private companies.
Right.
They're for profit.
And they make mistakes, right?
Oh, of course. About 80% of what's on your reports is incorrect.
Wow.
So if, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1971, we can legally dispute something and delete it from those reports if it is not 100% accurate. I don't mean 95% accurate, 100% accurate.
Wow. And so educate our viewers here today. There's three credit reporting agencies,
right.
And typically banks and mortgage companies will use all three or pick one or two to use, or how does that work?
There's more. There's about 12 different agencies, but the three that most people follow are going to be Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And you have companies that will report to two of the three, maybe one of the three, or all three together. But the ones that you need to be careful of, that you need to know, it's not that it's surprising to me when I walk into a room and I'll ask when I teach a credit seminar, and I'll say, raise your hand if you know your credit score.
Yeah.
And only a few hands go up.
Yeah.
And it's alarming, first and foremost, because everybody should be getting a free report every year. You should know exactly what's on your reports because of the identity fraud involved, because of all the things that happen. Companies aren't perfect.
Right.
It's human to error.
Sure.
So oftentimes they'll report something that is affecting your credit and it will really drag your score down. I tell people also try to do everything you possibly can to pay your bills on time. Paying a late bill, if it's reported late on your credit reports, it'll cost you about 110 points.
Wow.
Not in your favor.
Yeah. Wow.
So there's a lot of things that we teach in our seminars.
So what type of people can you help?
I can help anybody and everybody who has credit issues. And it doesn't just hit a certain geographic economic group. Everybody at some point in time in their life has had some sort of a credit challenge, whether it starts with a medical issue, whether it starts with a combination of a job loss or, a divorce. And then here's an example. a couple that gets divorced and the woman ends up in the home sometimes, and she gets mad at him, and she's supposed to be paying the bills while there's a resolution, and she decides she's not going to pay for the mortgage. Well, it's on his record if the name is in his, if the house is in his name.
Right.
And so there's several things that can happen. Debt that's divided. She might decide, or he might decide, I'm not going to pay for it. And so oftentimes that ends up being negatively reported on your reports. And there's all kinds of things that happen. Harvey victims that were given a 3 or 4 month reprieve and don't pay your bills. But then all of a sudden, all these companies that gave them a reprieve at 3 or 4 months decided, okay, you're not going to pay me just 1 month at a time till we catch up. It was, now you owe us the full amount. Well, people that have no savings or have been affected by that and haven't been working, there was no way that they could pay that bill.
Wow.
So it starts and it gets ugly.
Yeah. And so your market must just be enormous.
My market is huge.
Yeah. Like, is there a known number to the industry? Like, how many people suffer from poor or bad credit?
There is currently about 43 million people in this country with a score below 599.
Wow.
And then, of course, we, based on our numbers, can say with some certainty that about 8 out of 10 people have credit challenges.
And most mortgage companies and banks that do loans on homes want to be at least at 630 or 40, like bare minimum, and you're probably not getting the best interest rate.
Well, this is the thing that I teach people as they go through our course. So the mortgage company might want you at a 620 or a 640 or 650, depending on the loan. But that's still bad credit.
Right.
So you're still qualifying at a terrible rate.
Right.
So what I tell people is, let's take the time to be able to take the time to repair and restore what we need to. Because I give this example all the time. Let's say you're buying a $200,000 house and your score is 720 and mine is 620. We're going to get the same house, but what you're going to pay is probably a fair amount and a very good credit, rate, interest rate, whereas I might pay over that 30-year loan about $80,000 more.
Wow.
Because I'm 100 points less than you in my score.
Boy, that doesn't scream how important it is to get your credit right.
And so when I give that example, people go, what? And I say, and that's oftentimes what I have to use as an example when people tell me, so why would I want to pay for credit restoration, and why would I want to pay at least close to $1,000 to repair my situation?
Yeah.
Because the long run is you'll end up paying $80,000 or more on your home.
Yeah.
Which would you decide to do?
Right.
What do you want to do?
Pay me now or pay me later.
Exactly.
Pay someone else later. So can people do this on their own, or do they really need to hire a
people
professional?
really can do this on their own. The problem is that they can't keep track of the paperwork, because the dispute process is very complex. What they have to do is that they have to dispute directly to the credit bureaus, because the credit bureau then, under that legislation, has 30 days to legally review the validity of everything we're fighting off. Then after about 15 days, they must respond in writing. So those reports are sent back to the person who is the owner of that Social Security number. And so if they can't keep track with that back and forth, that's where people get frustrated.
Gotcha. And
That's
y'all
where
have a
people lose
process
their
for
cool.
doing that to help people.
Well, we have attorneys that are absolute experts in that field. And what we do is we coach the person and we take them through a program. We also give them a client portal where they are also seeing all of the progress as they're going through the system.
Wow. And so is this sort of do you find most of your clients start on their own and they get frustrated, or most of them find you through?
I'll tell you, I get a combination of across the board. I get people that tried this on their own and they had very little success and they gave up, they become impatient. And I also get people that have gone through maybe 3 or 4 different credit repair companies, and by the time they get to us, they're so frustrated that we're already the bad guy. And it's like, we're here to help you. There's only 2 things that you can't get out of in life, and that's death and paying taxes. But we can help you restore your credit if you just exercise some patience.
Wow.
I have to teach people. These items have not been on your reports overnight. They've been on your reports for years. Bankruptcies, repossessions, evictions, things like that. So it doesn't take me, we're not miracle workers. It's going to take us a while to get those things off, but we will legally remove them.
Is that 2 to 4 months, 4 to 6 months, depending on the situation?
We normally try to tell them between 6 and 12 months is where we need to just reassess, depending on, and I have people that come to me with 30 items that we need to delete, and then I get people that have maybe 3 or 4.
Right.
Every situation, every case is going to be different.
Yeah. How can people avoid getting in this spot?
I think people have the assumption that they rely on non-professionals for the advice. And I think at the end of the day, that's probably the worst thing that they can do is, predominantly in my own Hispanic community, the uncle or the father or somebody tells them, no, you do this way. And it's like, that's really not what you want to do.
Right.
So it's a matter of, and again, no one teaches us this in high school. I don't remember going through a course that taught me how to balance my checkbook and, budget and
how much
and
credit
build
to take
positive
out.
credit.
When you start getting those credit card offers,
going,
it's so flattering. They love me. They love me.
Yes.
So you're filling out all of them.
So what we tell them is, live within your means. The credit is good to have.
That's so un-American.
It truly is. But I teach people, if you're going to get a credit card, you shouldn't have more than 3 or 4. And then beyond that, live within the means of that credit card. You're at a higher risk if you have, say, a $10,000 credit limit. If you're charging over $3,000 every month and you're overspending every month, that puts you in a higher risk. So obviously, it's going to cost you more money.
Yeah. It sort of reminds me of like if you're a business owner, you pay a fee to a bookkeeper, but you come back and save you all kind of money on your taxes. It's the same thing here. They're going to pay you a fee. Is that a one-time fee or a fee as you're working with them throughout the year?
No, we don't ever bind them into a long-term contract. There's no need for that because of the way that we dispute. We're very, very aggressive. We've also been around for about 15 years with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. So one of the things that I can say is we just teach them, if you can just pay $89 a month, you're in the driver's seat. We're going to provide you with tools and education on how to budget. We're going to teach you how to pay your debt down without closing those credit cards down. That's very important. When you're looking at a mortgage, the mortgage wants to know if you have at least 2 different trade lines open and whether or not you have built a history of paying on something has to be reported. And they try to go back and look at least 12 months. Now, for people that don't have credit cards, we also offer a secure bank card. Our interest rate is at 10.74% instead of 20% with a bank, things like that. But we provide them with an education for $89. It's amazing. Nobody can beat that price.
Awesome. So you have built your business through networking, I understand.
I have.
A little bit of a history in networking. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, I'm a pretty good networker. I'm a go-getter. So, and I love people and I love being able to help people. And I did start several years ago. I was originally a member of a different organization and I moved up through the ranks. I was the vice president of that chapter and then I moved through the ranks and became a director. And I learned a lot through that, a lot of do's and don'ts and what to do and what not to do. And then I became a member of NIA and, it's been a game changer for me.
Nice. So
and I have a lot of large accounts on board that have also been very pleased with the work that I do. And so I run within those circles of the industry of the real estate and the mortgage.
Right.
We have a couple of financial advisors now coming on board that want to help their clients so that they have more money to save and invest, CPAs, things like that.
Right. And the network and action experience has been valuable?
For me, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough about the people that are in my own chapter and about Moose, who is the one that introduced me and hounded me to get in.
Yeah. He's thorough. That's one of the things I enjoy about our model is that you've got a professional running the group who's going to love on their members and make sure they give. Okay, before we close, I want you to try to think of one story, just a crazy story where somebody came in and you looked at their report and you're like, oh my goodness, and then you were able to have some success with them over time.
So yes, my very first client actually was out of a small group that was a networking group, not affiliated with NIA, probably 2 years ago. And I was doing something else and then I was introduced to this and I just fell in love with the concept of helping people restore their credit. And he was one of my first customers and he had probably about 14 collections, a couple of charge-offs and a couple of items. And so long story short, about 120 days later, we deleted about 8 or 9 items off of his reports. And I remember him calling me and saying, I'm so happy that I've gone with you as opposed to somebody else. And I said, why is that? And he says, because I was paying $500 on my car insurance and you just helped me save half of that. I just talked to a Goosehead insurance person and they turned around and quoted me $250 based on my credit score.
Wow.
So we had helped his score go up about 200 points in less than 100 days.
Wow. And again, provided a valuable...
Exactly.
Yeah, and saved me money.
And we can't help everybody.
Right.
You have to have some skin in the game and want to help yourself, but at the end of the day, we're very successful.
Right. And so just for our Spanish-speaking audience, you might say?
Hablo español perfectamente. Si quieren, me pueden llamar.
Beautiful. Great idea. Luisa, great. Thanks for meeting today with us. We're so glad you came in. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much, Scott. Pleasure.